Paul Stout served as an Army staff sergeant in Germany during World War II. He drove a truck over 20,000 miles for 9 months and received a citation for this accomplishment.
I'm going to ask you some questions about your service in World War II, and if you would like to add anything that is not in the questions, please feel free to do that.
Okay.
During World War II, what branch of service did you serve in?
Army.
What was your rank?
Staff sergeant.
Where did you serve?
Sir?
Where did you serve?
Germany.
Why did you pick the branch of service you served in?
I got drafted. They picked it for me.
Where did you do your basic training?
In Camp Blount in Florida.
What do you remember most about it?
What?
What do you remember most about it?
The swamps.
Swamps.
We took swamp training. We were supposed to go to Pacific. But I'll tell you more about that as we go along.
All right.
If you want to hear it now, I'll tell you.
You can go ahead.
No, we'd have when they tell you a certain way to go, if it was a swamp or whatever, you had to go across the swamp. If there's alligators in there, you still had to go across. Because we was training for Pacific, you know, that's what they have over there. But after my basic training, I come home on 10 days delay en route and went to Fort Meade, Maryland. We had khaki clothes like you got on. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to go to the Pacific, and they kept holding us and holding us and holding us. There's 10,000 of them. And they come in and took our winter clothes, or our summer clothes away from us, and give us winter clothes. Mm. Said, you're going to Germany, we need you over worse. Mm. So we went to Germany, 10,000, on one ship. Mm. They had beds on the ship, bunks, stacked up like that, 6 high. New Amsterdam was the name of this ship. It was from Holland.
What was your main job or assignment during the war?
I can't tell you that. I think you understand. Thank you.
Sure.
I can tell you more about after the war was over. Let's do that. I can tell you what I did just before the end of the war, and then I'll tell you the rest of it. But
you can just tell us what you feel comfortable
I've seen
telling us.
Prisoner of war camps, and I was only 18 years old. And I'll tell you this one thing. Can you imagine seeing people without their heads? Had baskets full of heads. The first prison war camp I went to, that's what I seen. Mm. And I remembered it ever since. I kind of got used to it after that. But it was horrible. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of them don't believe it. But anyway, I'll just continue on. And if you need to ask me something, I'll just tell you about where I've been, okay?
Okay.
I was in the 104th Infantry Division when the war was over. We went to France and we was replacements, went over as replacements. So they just took some here and some there, anywhere they needed us. And I happened to be one of the last ones, so I got to see the stuff up there that I didn't want to see. But anyway, They just put me in the 104th Division for, just a couple of weeks. And then they brought that division home, and I didn't have enough points to come home. So they put me in the Signal Corps. 302nd Signal. They was needing truck drivers in there, and I had done that before I went in service. And I started to hauling bodies. Just the last 2 or 3 weeks before the war was over, they didn't bury them very deep. They just scratched out and put them in a plastic bag. Anyway, we hauled the bodies to Belgium. And they called the parents and asked where they want to be sent home or buried over there. There was a large cemetery over there. I think it was bigger than the one in France. Mm. But anyway, I hauled bodies and then hauled coal back. Briquettes, they called briquettes. And we started helping the poor class people out. They were starved. I mean, a lot of them was just starving. And I hauled them for a while. And then they put me to hauling supplies, radio supplies. All the telephones were out, you know. So they were supplied strictly by, well, they had different places up on top of mountains. And I hauled supplies. I've got a picture in there I'll show you a little bit later. But anyway, I got my feet froze up there on top of that mountain. It was in the winter of 45. But the war wasn't officially over in Germany until April of 46. So anyway, after I got through with that, they brought me down off the mountain, and me and my captain was pretty close. He said, "How'd you like to have a good job?" And I said, "I like it." So he said, "I need a motor sergeant." So I went back down on Flatland in Heidelberg. That's where it was at. And that's where I started my career as a motor sergeant. I stayed on that until I come home in 47. But you know, I got married over there. We got married in September 47.
Was your wife from there?
Mm-hmm. In Heidelberg. We've been married going on 61 years.
How did you meet her?
Do what?
How did you meet her?
Well, I wasn't looking for a woman, really. I was dating a lady down here on Morganton Road, and I walked her to church. That was a big deal back then if you walked a girl to church. Well, I reckon we was in love, but we was both just 18 years old, and she wanted to get married before I went overseas, and I told her, I said, no. I said, if I get killed, I want my mother to have that $5,000 instead of you. So the first letter I got, the first one now, not the second or third one, first letter I got whenever I landed in France, "Dear John, I found somebody else." So I wasn't even looking at a woman for a while. But I run into her by accident. Most of the places over I had wire around them, you know, barbed wire, where nobody couldn't get in. And that's where our headquarters at. That's where I kept my truck whenever I was driving the truck. And we had to do our own laundry then. Had to do our own brass, everything. Well, I had a little girl, wasn't much more bigger than that. She come out there at that fence, and we give her cigarettes. And she'd run home and give it to her daddy and mother, and then she'd come back and we'd give her some candy. Chocolat, they called it. We give her chocolate. And then she kept hanging around. She said, she got this, picked up a little bit of English, you know. And she said she wanted to do my laundry. I said, well, that'd be all right. So I give them candy and cigarettes and different stuff to do my laundry. And she said one day, said, I've got a special friend I'd like for you to meet. I said, well, bring her on down here. And it happened to be my wife. But I brought her through the barbed wire fence. And we had an old trailer out there that had been wrecked. And we set our headquarters up out there in that trailer. That's where we dated. And one thing led to another, and we decided she wanted to get married, so I sent her to a German Peterman. What do you call them that teaches English and foreign languages?
Oh yeah, like a tutor?
Yeah, tutor. Well, so she took up English pretty fast.
And you got married after the war?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't meet her till after the war.
Oh, okay, you met her after the war, okay.
Mm-hmm. So we got married in September the 3rd, 1947.
Go ahead, Ian, if you got, I just.
okay.
I've got a little picture I'll show you.
Okay.
We were still dating then. My wife jumps on me for showing this to everybody.
If you'll hold it up there, I can zoom in on it and get a shot of it. Oh. Yeah, thank you. Got it.
Did it?
Yes, sir.
That was in 1945. That's about the time I met her. Well, this little story goes on, and we decided we was going to get married. So I wrote my sister-in-law, my oldest brother's wife, and Hilda's my wife's name. She's very poor and didn't have decent clothes to wear. But my sister-in-law sent me some clothes over for my wife. They all fit good. She got American clothes on there. But the shoes that they sent wasn't big enough. So she cut the toes out of them so she could wear them. That's about it. I can't talk about the rest of it. I'd rather not.
Okay. Ian, are there any other questions that would focus more after the war?
Sir?
I was asking Ian if there were some other questions that had to do more with after the war.
About the war ending.
Okay. What do you recall most about the day the war ended?
A lot of hollering and shouting. Hey.
What do you remember most about the day you went home?
The day I went in, Army?
The day you went home?
The day I went home?
Yes.
Well, I had to leave before my wife did. My time had run out. So I'd already signed up for 18 more months to stay over so get married. But my time, they said I was going to lose my citizenship because I'd been over almost 3 years. And anyway, I put it off and put it off. They kept telling me I was going to catch the next next airplane home. I said, no, I can't ride an airplane. They said, well, a few days later they come around and said, you'll catch the next ship home then. So I couldn't deny that. So I had to go off and leave her. But she was lucky. She come just, by the time I landed in New York, I come home and picked up my own car. Daddy had bought me an old 40-mile Chevrolet. It was a wreck. But I drove that car to New York and met my wife. her and Millie, and come back home, and that thing broke down 2 or 3 times on the way back home. Daddy didn't know that he'd bought a taxi. But you know what a taxi goes through with.
Yeah.
What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
Do what?
What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
What I done after the war?
Your job, career.
I went to work at Alcoa. And, well, I was living in a little 2-room house on my daddy's place. And, well, after I got my wife over here, I had to go to Fort Benning to get discharged. And after I come back then, well, we laid around for quite a bit, you know. And he says, my daddy come down one day and said, what are you going to do with your life? He said, you going back to school, or what are you going to do? Or are you going to go back in the Army? I said, I don't want to do the Army. But I said, I don't want to go back to school. And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get you a job at Alcoa. And he worked at Alcoa. I went out there on Tuesday, and they called me on Friday.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Do what now?
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
I still don't get it.
How did your experiences affect your life?
Oh, quite a bit. Nerves problem. I'll never forget it. There's very few can talk about it. I've been trying to get disability for a long time, but I got my feet and legs froze in the winter of '45 over there while I was hauling radio supplies up on top of the mountain. I did have some pictures. Let me have
Rick
that
will
back.
give it to you.
Let me have that back and see if I still got it. This is from Germany. This right here.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my father-in-law's. I don't have a table or something I can set this. Oh, right here's one. I'll put it over here. I'm still in the process of trying to get this building. There. I knew they were in there. I'll keep looking. Got my discharge and everything else. Amen, brother. Here's a picture of me when I was servicing diesel power units on top of the mountain over there, where I told you it was so cold. That's in the winter of '45. Do you get that?
yes, sir.
Here I am in the snow on top of the hill. And here's the
Just a little bit closer.
radio truck.
Let me focus the camera a little bit on that. Okay.
You get that?
Yes, sir.
And here's another one of the trucks.
Okay.
And this is the truck that I drove. I hauled supplies on that one. That's me there, if you can tell.
Yeah. Can.
And I got a reward or something similar to a medal for driving 20,000 miles in 6 months. So that's my colonel and captain giving me that.
Mm.
I good looking boy, that wasn't. I think that's about all the pictures I've got.
Okay.
Is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't talked about in this interview?
There's some things I like to talk about, but if I talk about them, I cry.
Sure.
I don't want to talk about them.
Great.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your memories, and thank you for your service to our country.
Now right here, here's the truck that I drove and hauled supplies on. I was a T5 right there. I got promoted from a private to a T5.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my wrecker that I had whenever I went in as motor sergeant. They call it the A-frame.
Right.
Hey, like them britches.
Yeah.
Them shiny shoes. That's about it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.